At this time, I'll ask Commissioner Ray Johnson to have our invocation and the pledge to the flags of this great nation.
Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you to say thank you for all you do for us. Heavenly Father, I ask you to help us as we try to make the best decisions to make this county move forward and to be the greatest place to live and work. Lord, I ask you to protect our law enforcement, emergency services, and our military. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this time, fellow commissioners, you have the proposed agenda for today's meeting. Is there a need for any changes to the proposed agenda?
Seeing no changes, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for today's meeting. Any further discussion?
I have some concerns about the motive behind this agenda. I want to make it clear from the beginning that I'm not assigning any blame. As most of us did not have a clue why we're going into closed session beforehand. In the case concerning Amy Ramsey versus Greene County, this is not the first time we have discussed this case. I can count on at least twice that we have talked about this case, and not once was a reason ever posted on the agenda about it. Although it is clear to me after reading the open meeting minute law that it should have been included. Furthermore, the original lawsuit which was filed by Ms. Ramsey and her attorney has never been revealed, nor have we as commissioners ever been given a copy of the original lawsuit for our own review. I have a copy of the original lawsuit available, as it is public record available to anyone who wants to read it at the courthouse. What we have today is not the original. So my question is, why are we today just choosing to reveal this lawsuit, and why haven't the original lawsuit ever been revealed in our agenda packet when the open meeting minutes makes it very clear that we should have included it?
I'm going to yield that question to the county attorney.
It is public record. If you would like a copy of the complaint, it is at the courthouse. What is attached here, as you characterized, not the original complaint, is not the proper characterization. These are the filed public record answers filed by Greene County. This is not every document that has been filed. There's also been a motion, and this has been removed to federal court. We are to put the name of a pending lawsuit, if a lawsuit has been filed, on the agenda, and it will be part of the discussion in closed session. However, in closed session, we will, of course, discuss more than is what is in the public record. However, in an effort for transparency, the answers which have been prepared on behalf of Greene County and filed on behalf of Greene County have been attached because they are public record and available at both the federal courthouse and I believe one of them at the Greene County courthouse before it was removed to federal court. Also not attached, however, is another defendant who is not currently employed. I do not know what his answer says. If it's been filed yet, it's probably available if someone has curiosity to go to the federal courthouse and look for it. But that was not filed on behalf of Greene County government, so it is not attached either.
Thank you. Any other concerns, questions, comments before we, or we just, we have our proposed consent agenda for today. I've just thought about that. I need to go back. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as it has been presented. We've had some discussion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried unanimously. We do indeed have our consent agenda for today's meeting. Is there a need for any change to the consent agenda?
I have something. In the December 18th meeting minutes, under public comments, it states, Mr. Tinker would not listen and said he would be back. While it's true that he stated he would be back, the first part of the sentence is an opinion and needs to be removed.
Is that an opinion, or did you get that from the tape?
I got that from the recording.
The recording said that he said he would not listen and walked out.
He said he would not listen to this.
That's what he said.
Yes.
So I think it is correct.
Seeing no more correction, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda for today's meeting.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Here are none. Those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye.
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 Hey.
Motion carries 4-1. Although the nay actually came out of order, but that's okay. Do we have any public comments today? Moving right along. Presentations, Mr. Rich Moore.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And what we've got for you today is for kind of more of a housekeeping issue. On our SCADA project, part of that project was to be able to monitor the amount of water that the county receives from Greenville Utilities Commission during periods where the county is purchasing water. There is an operational agreement in place between the town of Farmville and Greene County that basically says the town of Farmville will operate all of the transmission assets, and they will bill the county for the county's share of any operational costs. And through the SCADA project, we installed a monitoring panel at the point of interconnection, which is the metering building out there at Lane's Crossroads. And in order to get the monitoring signal where we can actually get the flow information, which is nice because then we can kind of compare it to what Farmville's billing us for water to kind of say, okay, hey, we concur with that. So we just think it's fair that we have the ability to check behind them, so to speak. So the SCADA project installed a monitoring panel and also installed an analog splitter device. It just allows us to pick up that signal from what's being transmitted to Farmville. And those assets were installed solely by Greene County. So what we felt was appropriate was to amend the operational agreement to disclose that those facilities were installed at the elevated storage tank site, the metering location, and that those assets would be the sole ownership and responsibility of Greene County. And while we were doing that, we noticed in the prior amendment to the agreement that there was an internet service that was installed that had some descriptive information that Farmville was going to maintain it, and they were going to bill the county for the county's share of that cost every month. And that internet service has been removed. So we felt it appropriate to amend that document to say that that responsibility no longer exists. So what we've got for consideration is an amendment to that ODM agreement that predominantly just says Greene County installed these this monitoring panel and the splitter device, and those devices are Greene County's, and that's it. And certainly to amend it, we need Greene County's approval and we need the town of Farmville's approval. So what I've got for your consideration is a copy of that amendment and a resolution that authorizes the approval subject to the town of Farmville approving it. And town of Farmville has it for consideration tonight at their board meeting as well. So just trying to do some cleanup work. So be glad to answer any questions.
You think the town of Farmville have any opposition on this?
No.
Move to approve the budget amendment number 3, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the motion is carried unanimously.
Much obliged.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
It'll all be good.
This island.
You all received a copy of the Title VI document?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is basically, I think y'all have, all seen this before, the non-discrimination agreement between NCDOT and Greene County Transportation. It has to be updated every 3 years. Updated information I received from census.gov, and it's basically the race, color, national origin, sex, age, disability of Greene County. And that updated information was sent in, they approved it, and now they have to have a signed copy. So once you approve it, I will give that back to them.
I move to approve the Title VI program plan.
Have a motion for approval. Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Any questions?
No questions, no discussion. I will call the question. Those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. County Manager.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. A few items for action this morning. Our first being an appointment to the ABC Board. Just for a little background, this was advertised as previously directed from the Board of Commissioners. We did have one applicant. The applicant's name and application are attached. Are there questions?
Move to approve the appointment of Dana Hill to the ABCC.
Second. Excuse me. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
Thank you, sir. Do you need that?
I'll be fine in just a minute. We're okay.
Can I get you some more?
I'm fine.
Okay. Our next item for action is a participating provider agreement. You have seen these in the past. This is an agreement that was sent to us by our third-party billing company, Colatin. Zealous Network Solutions is now providing an insurance for some folks who may live in our county, and this agreement makes it so that our third-party billing company, who represents us, can bill this insurance company for transports and care that our system provides. Are there questions?
Is there any difference between this agreement and the other agreements?
They're all very different, but they're all the same. It's however their lawyers choose to write the contract up will appear different, but the intent is the same.
And we have several.
I think we have 8 or 9 now.
Yeah.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
Thank you. Our next item for action is an appointment to the Trillium Health Resources Trillium Health Resources Regional Advisory Board. We've recently engaged with Trillium, who is now our mental health MCOLME, and in that meeting they stated the need that we appoint 2 individuals to this regional advisory board. One was to be a county commissioner, and one was to be a representative of the county. Gay and I read through the general statute. I believe we did attach it. So what I'm looking for is the appointment of a commissioner and then a representative of the county/community. Are there questions?
Motion to appoint Commissioner Jones to
Commissioner Jones is
He's on the board.
I'm on the governing board.
he's on the
right now.
executive governing board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to appoint James T. as our commissioner, since he has experience with East Point, and Kyle DeHaven is the other representative for our county.
Have a
To
motion.
serve on this regional health board.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Those nay, the ayes have it. The motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you. Our next item for action is a budget amendment in general government. I believe this budget amendment is for $15,000. Our unemployment insurance account code does not meet the state's formula. In the past, I don't know, I may have lowered it too low in the budgeting process, and I need some more money to be put into that account code to meet the state's formula. And I believe, we attached the formula so you can see that what they're asking for from us this year is $19,435. I'll be more aware of that in the next budget so that an amendment like this isn't necessary.
Okay.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Okay, how often this might happen again?
It's an annual thing, and you'll notice that we have a balance. It's great that that we did attach the formula. We had a balance less the benefits charged. You can see that in what would be for us fiscal year 22-23, $8,278 was paid out in unemployment insurance. Some was paid in, some was paid back. And so our balance was at 47 and change. Now we are required to keep 1% of taxable wages. So with increases and et cetera, we fell short of what they said we needed to have. We were just trying to meet that 1% of taxable wages to be held in escrow by the state. But it's an annual thing.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried unanimously, as was the last motion unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item for action is change order number 1 for the Greene County Public Works Building. If you recall, we just had a ribbon cutting at that facility, very nice facility. There was some additional costs that was incurred in that project. One was unsuitable soils. If you remember the correspondence I had with you about the tomato houses that were found when they were digging out for the parking lot, for that to be corrected, which I will compliment the Public Works Department, they did a lot of the work in-house to keep that cost down. This cost could have been far worse if David and his guys hadn't stepped up. And then also, we did an add-on to that project, and we had that floor sealed. Just think it's probably a better idea for long-term maintenance and care. And you can see in the budget where those increases and add-ons were put in. Then you can see where there are credits given. Contingency was applied, and of course we need to make sure our contractor is paid. And you can see an increase in the total project of $22,244, which takes total project cost to $940,244. Are there questions?
Yeah, I got this from David.
Yeah.
I'm years ago, I remember that project, man. I go, David, what was buried out there? So,
Just concrete from them tomato houses. Yeah, they had concrete slabs they were
Right.
sitting on. And the management at the time instructed to bury it, busted it, bury it, and that's what we're doing. And in digging for the parking lot, doing the soil testing for the parking lot, we ran into some of it. One of the trenches that was dug and the concrete was covered up and it was very wet conditions. We like Mr. DeHaven said, we assisted the contractor in getting that stuff out of there. And then he hauled some soil back in, filled it back up.
just curious.
Yeah.
I just want to make a comment right here. When you talk about the native houses in your manager's note, I would pretty much think you were joking. I had no clue what you were talking about.
I was
So I'm
serious.
pretty sure that the people reading this in the public probably has no clue what you're talking about the native houses. So if you would just kind of give us an overview of what you told me.
Yeah. There was an operation out there that was tomato houses, and they must have sold them on a commercial retail level. And
I do too.
and when that business expired or they didn't renew it, they demolished those houses,
They give some of them away.
and
A
they
couple of schools got.
And they buried them. That's not a practice that we find appropriate in our current course of action in business, but in the past it's what was done. So we remedied that situation to create a suitable soil situation for the parking lot around that public works building. So we should not have future issuance or future issue at that site.
But basically, it was just on that back left-hand corner of the parking lot itself.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with where the building's set.
Right. I remember those houses. 4 of us remember those houses. Derek's too young. I mean, seriously, you know.
I thought, like I said, I thought he was joking.
The only thing I would suggest is to David or you is we need to look at that Bay Area. We need to put some floor mats down or something where people can keep their feet dry. You know, we had 2 people file on Friday.
It got slick without rain. Maybe we can put down some non-slick or some sand or something.
I'll get something.
We'll take care of it.
I move to approve the change order request, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The county's got a nice building, be here for
Yeah.
another 50 years.
Yep.
One more.
Hearing no further discussion, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you. Next item for action is a resolution to join the American Flood Coalition. If you recall, Mr. Tony McEwen came and spoke to us, I think in December, about the American Flood Coalition. I believe the East Carolina Council of Governments is a participant, which is how we became aware of this organization. And what we found, or what I heard from his presentation, was that a lot of their goals and initiatives align with ours. They continue to go out and their support is being grown by other organizations and by other public officials. And they also have an ability to award grants in a competitive way for certain remediation activities. So this is a resolution to join their organization, to be part of their voice. Are there questions?
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
Thank you. Okay. Next item for your attention is a resolution of the need to revise hunting standards for hunting on property of another in Greene County, North Carolina. This is an issue that we have talked about and we've heard concern with. And what this resolution really is it gives our background of the issues that we see in the county. And then it is just a request to our local legislators to sponsor a bill to prohibit hunting, fishing, or trapping on someone else's land without written permission of the landowner or landowner's lessee on their person, on them. So if you guys approve this, we will pass this along to our local legislators and have further discussion with them in the short session.
What's the wish of the board?
Move to approve.
Have a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a
We can
motion.
come back and tweak this
If we need
between now and the legislature.
If we need to.
Okay.
If you see need.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I got some This issue has resurfaced multiple times, and I understand there's reasonable arguments on both sides. It's clearly a no-win situation for everybody. While many individuals in my district support this resolution, I want to provide a realistic assessment of its chances. Every amendment was introduced, it faces an uphill battle of getting a vote and may the current legislative climate. Also, the vague wording of this resolution means that any actual legislation passed could look very different from what we are proposing. As Justice Burgess recently wrote, the first rule of government is to protect people's rights and property, and I agree. However, legislation cannot solve every dispute in my neighborhood. I'm going to vote for this resolution because it's what the citizens in my district have asked for me. But I have severe doubt that we'll change anything. I want to urge everybody involved to also take a common sense approach. Talk to your neighbors, listen to their concerns, and try to find mutual understanding. I don't want to see us relying on legislation to solve every problem we have in my neighborhood. I tell hunters, get to know your neighbors, ask if they have any concerns or complaints, and try to rectify the solution. Don't try to get into arguments, just try to make it work.
Any other discussion? I will call for question. Those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you. Next item for action is acceptance of award and approval of the grant agreement with NC 911. There's an initiative to have portable radios in our PSAPs. We have 3 active positions in our PSAP. Therefore, 3 radios would be granted to us. Our emergency telephone system fund will pay for a large portion of that. There is a portion that it will not cover. This grant will cover that piece or that part of the monies, that percentage. And the approximate amount, $17,000 and change. Are there questions?
Are these radios that they're talking about that's not going to be working for the federal government have a certain date to go by?
No, if you recall, Matt, Mr. Sheriff?
These are backups to when the main radios go down, so they'll have a portable in case the main radios go down.
So if
Say that again.
If the console radio goes down, they'll have a backup so that they can continue to dispatch the need or the emergency. If you recall, we've just done a major overhaul of our radio system to, I don't know, it was $500,000 plus.
Yeah, that was the update. That was the update that they did. Then Brock can answer better on that. But that was updated, put us in compliance to where moving forward, our radios won't be out of date because the 5%.
That's what I'm talking about right there. So that's been done.
Yes.
Okay, I'm good. There you go.
Yes, we appreciate that responsiveness.
Move to approve the fund and approve the agreement, Mr. Chair.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you. My last item for action this morning is a capital project budget ordinance for the future Greene County Sheriff's Office. If you recall, the county has recently purchased the building we'll identify as the old elections building. I think it's 110 Southeast 1st Street. Some plans to utilize that facility have been discussed, and I think the final plan that I have heard was for a future sheriff's office to relocate the sheriff from the current Justice Center into that facility and then repurpose that former office space for another purpose, which is a courtroom, which we have received funding for from the legislature, the General Assembly. As I put together a budget for this, I think $600,000 is a great starting point. I was talking to Ray this morning, and most of that budget has been put together. I believe it's going to be, give or take, that range. It's going to be right in the 600 range, which in actuality and reality is it's a very good price for a facility that we should receive a lot of benefit from for the foreseeable future. So,
Move to approve this resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried unanimously.
that's all I have for you this morning. Thanks so
Thank you, sir.
much.
Madam County Attorney,
No.
anything this time? Commissioner reports and recommendations.
I got some. I want to make two suggestions to one motion in the comments. Recently, a member of the planning board approached me asking about compensation for board members. Reviewing the original 2006 order, it states that members shall receive $30 per meeting attended plus mileage reimbursement, with the expectation that the board meets at least once monthly. Further research revealed that in 2012, amid financial difficulties, the Board of Commissioners was skinning the compensation for the planning board and several other boards. However, upon reviewing an updated copy of the orders from 2021, I noticed that this outdated compensation provision was still present, despite revisions made that year. This language should have been removed in 2021 when other additional revisions were approved. Being inverted, it was left in. Given our occasional difficulties attracting planning board members, coupled with the current vacancy, I believe it's time that we revisit reinstating compensation. As a show of appreciation for their service and to aid recruitment, I'm going to recommend that we reinstate their compensation, starting with a new fiscal budget this coming June. A couple of months ago, Commissioner Johnson and I had a final meeting of the day with Chief Grayson from the Fire Chief Consulate Group. Commissioner Johnson and I both had some very strong opinions on what needed to be done, but we were also interested in hearing what the other commissioners had to say. So we asked them to share your concerns with us also. According to Chief Grayson, recruitment and retention of firefighters is one of the most pressing challenges that he identified. Since that meeting, I've spoken with several fire chiefs to get their thoughts on how we can help them. What I've heard from the chief is that we need to act quickly, or the county may have to consider the possibility of hiring professional firefighters, especially during the daytime, at a significant cost. We've already seen the expense of hiring and training EMS personnel. If we don't step in and try to find a solution to help our fire department, we could have a crisis on our hands. I first listened to the chief's ideas. It's clear that most departments know what they need to do to recruit and retain personnel, but they lack the resources that is needed. Therefore, I'm also going to suggest that we increase the county's annual contribution to volunteer fire department by $11,000 in the next budget. That's an extra $1,000 per department. I believe this modest increase can make a real difference in helping our volunteer department recruit and retain firefighters that we need to keep our communities safe. In the past two meetings, I emphasized the importance of transparency regarding the salary increase that we voted for ourselves. It seems evident that we won't be issuing a statement. Therefore, I propose a motion to revert our pay to the initial approved amount in the fiscal year 22-13 budget, regardless of whether we think we are underpaid or whether we deserve that pay. Our primary responsibility is to the citizens of Greene County. Not a single citizen has voiced our support for this raise. On the contrary, I have received feedback from at least 20 people expressing their disapproval. In fact, my own mother told me this morning before I left to come to this meeting that we do not deserve this raise. If we choose not to approve this motion, then I'm going to make the motion. Then I'm going to make a request that my pay be reversed back to the 22-23 level. So, strong.
Any other commissioner comments or recommendations?
Move to go into closed session,
Wait a
Mr.
minute,
Chairman.
I got something.
Okay.
April the 5th, there's going to be a golf tournament at Cutter Creek for the Greene County 10 and under travel team, so they can go to Cooperstown.
Nice.
It's April 5th.
April the 5th.
Any further commissioner comments, recommendation?
Motion to go into closed session.
Have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of attorney-client privilege and personnel.
Right.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and motion is carried. We're going into closed. That was a visitation. We are back in regular session.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to congratulate the 4-H winners of the 4-H Achievement Night last Friday night at the Wilderness Fitness Center. A lot of participation, a lot of people there, really nice.
Fantastic.
Move to adjourn.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. We are adjourned.